the MotoGP world has been rocked by unimaginable news. Francesco Bagnaia, a two-time world champion and symbol of Ducati's modern-era revival, will leave the Bologna factory team midway through the 2025 season. This decision follows months of speculation, internal pressure, and an internal struggle that has shaken the Ducati Lenovo team to its core. Why is Bagnaia's decision to leave Ducati surprising? Let's discuss. At the end of the 2024 season, Bagnaia stood tall as a symbol of Ducati's glory. His two brilliant world titles, his status as an icon of the legendary Italian manufacturer, and his reputation as a leader in the Desmosedici development project made his position almost unshakable. He was not just a rider. He was the face of Ducati's future and the great hope that led the brand to glory on the MotoGP stage. However, everything changed drastically and suddenly in the 2025 season. The GP25, initially promised as the perfect evolution of the dominant GP24, became a complicated nightmare for Pecco instead. Rather than giving him an advantage, the new engine brought a series of unexpected problems that undermined his confidence on the track. Since the first round of the season, Bagnaia has faced major difficulties with the front end of the bike. In the fast-paced and intense world of MotoGP, losing confidence in the front end of the bike is akin to losing sight in the midst of a brutal close-quarters battle. He began to doubt himself when entering corners, lost the braking reference that had been his mainstay, and found it increasingly difficult to execute the precise riding style that had allowed him to conquer rivals on the track. The MotoGP world erupted when Marquez was announced as the new Ducati Lenovo rider. Euphoria enveloped the paddock and the fans, as if a new chapter in history were about to be written. But behind the cheers lurked a sharp question: can two suns shine in one galaxy? The answer is clear now: it's impossible. Marc didn't just come as a rider. He arrived with a legacy of 7 world championship titles, a reputation as the founder of the Honda dynasty, and an unrelenting fighting spirit, the spirit of a legend hungry to prove himself. In a very short time, his presence shook Ducati's internal structure and immediately changed the direction of the competitive winds. From the first race on, it didn't take long for Marquez to prove himself. He won 3 out of 6 races, took the top position in the provisional standings, and most shockingly, adapted instantly to the cutting-edge Desmosedici GP25 motorbike, which even the defending champion, Pecco Bagnaia, had not yet fully mastered. Here is the real tragedy for Ducati. Pecco is left behind, not only by Marc, but also by Alex Marquez, his younger brother who rides the older GP24. He is not only left behind by Marc, but also by Alex Marquez, his younger brother who rides the older GP24 motorcycle. It's a bitter irony that the main star is defeated not only by a new teammate, but also by the brother of the rider who is now the new center of gravity in the red team. In a recent episode of the Crash MotoGP podcast, veteran journalist Peter McLaren discussed one of the most crucial issues facing Francesco Bagnaia: his growing technical isolation. Pecco is the only rider who has stepped up from the GP24 to the GP25, said McLaren. Marc Marquez and Fabio Di Giannantonio came from bikes that were technically more advanced last year, so when they got on the GP25, it felt like a big leap forward. For Bagnaia, however, the switch feels more like a step backward than an upgrade. The loss of Jorge Martin and Enea Bastianini, 2 riders who were also due to move up to the GP25, has left him without a vital benchmark. Without them, Pecco is now the sole reference point in the development of the new bike. He is on his own, without any benchmarks or a partner. In the precision-driven world of MotoGP, isolation isn't just difficult, it can be deadly. This is especially true when your teammate is Marc Marquez, a legend who is not only fast but also adept at adapting his riding style to any machine. While Pecco was searching for direction, Marc was already in motion. All the accumulated frustration finally exploded at Le Mans. There were 2 crashes in one weekend, a 0-point finish, and a fading look of confidence. Pecco Bagnaia's body language spoke volumes. His slumped shoulders, blank stare, and restless gestures in the paddock seemed to indicate that the pressure was wearing on him. In a comment recorded by the media, Pecco complained that he was forced to change bikes because he could no longer rely on the GP25 in certain conditions. This is a sharp statement that indirectly implies a crisis of confidence in his main weapon. Meanwhile, the Ducati GP24 riders performed brilliantly. Jorge Martin continued to perform consistently, Enea Bastianini found his rhythm again, and Alex Marquez surprised everyone with a solid performance that brought him to the podium. All 3 have reached the podium this season. Ironically, Pecco, the defending champion and supposed symbol of Ducati's dominance, was left behind, confused about his performance, and lost his way. Davide Tardozzi, the Ducati team manager, tried to act as a shield. He insisted that Pecco was not mentally affected by Marc Marquez's presence in the garage. However, the MotoGP audience is not easily fooled. In the tough world of racing, where pressure comes not only from rivals on the track but also from teammates, mental stability is not just an added bonus, it's essential. This time, Pecco appears fragile, as if an internal storm were slowly destroying the foundation he worked so hard to build. According to sources within the team, the last few weeks have been marked by extraordinary tension between Pecco Bagnaia's camp and Ducati's technical management. The once harmonious relationship has turned into a tug-of-war of interests and racing philosophies that no longer align. Pecco, a two-time world champion, wants a different approach to motorcycle development. He wants to return to the Desmosedici DNA that once brought him to the top, a motorcycle with high front-end stability, responsive handling when entering and exiting corners, and a setup that blends well with his precise, measured riding style. However, Ducati has chosen a different direction. They have invested in a new philosophy, a motorcycle with wilder, more aggressive, and more dynamic characteristics. This technical package seems to be more suited to Marc Marquez's extreme riding style. The tension is growing. The internal conflict that was previously tightly wrapped up is starting to leak to the surface. In the end, Ducati made a shocking decision. They let their world champion go to pursue a new direction believed to be more promising. The split was inevitable. It marks the end of an era and perhaps the beginning of a new chapter. Before the big announcement that shook the MotoGP paddock, Carlo Pernat, a seasoned observer and a respected senior figure in the racing world, took the time to share his firm and confident opinion. To him, the possibility of Francesco Bagnaia, Ducati's main rider and two-time world champion, leaving the red team from Bologna didn't make sense. He saw no rational reason behind such an extreme step. Pecco has the best bike on the grid right now, Pernat said confidently in an interview. Now, he has Marc Marquez as a teammate and a benchmark. If you can beat Marc, you will be remembered forever. But if not, at least you know you lost to an alien. That sentence seemed to symbolize the belief that Pecco would stay and that logic would win over emotion. However, as is often the case in the unpredictable world of racing, reality says otherwise. What Pernat, and perhaps many other observers, forgot is that the best motorcycle is meaningless if the rider can no longer connect with it. If turning the gas no longer inspires confidence and every corner raises doubts, no matter how impressive the technological performance, it won't cover the cracks in a racer's belief. Pecco may have felt that in his silence. He may have realized that his existence within the Ducati structure no longer makes him a center of power, but rather the shadow of a great storm called Marc Marquez. He may have felt the pressure to remain number one amidst the rise of new icons slowly eroding his confidence. Now, we can only wonder, will this decision bring Ducati new glory with Marc Marquez? Or is it the beginning of a deeper rift? Write your opinion below.